Welcome to the Tekamo podcast, sponsored by Fortis HD. Remember where to buy tools and parts like undercarriage engines, final drives, rubber tracks, and more. Call Fortis HD. Every sale allows Tekamo to produce great content and also helps to bring awareness to the industry. Today I'm chatting with Jake, a seasoned mechanic and a master snowcat tech working in the mountains between California and Nevada. He's now running his own mobile repair company from a classic 1968 Chevy C30 dually. He fixes anything and everything from snow removal machines to skid steers. Hey, Jake.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not bad.
Keeping busy, huh?
Working from home today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yep.
Tell me about where you live.
I'm based out of Nevada. Mountains is my zone.
How is it around there? I saw the picture you sent me of your service truck. It's pretty awesome. It looks beautiful around there.
Yeah. So I was out at a job site up in the mountains, about 5,000 feet-ish. So, but we go all the way up to 10, 12,000 feet. There's a lot of snow equipment and things like that. That's kind of my bread and butter.
Did you grow up there?
No, I'm from Pennsylvania. I've been here 10 years or so. Kind of traveled around finding my favorite weather patterns, and which is where I stuck.
Cool. You said you've been wrenching since your first job at 13. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I started in a bicycle shop, and then whenever it was getting closer to driving, I went and worked at a car shop that sold cars and had a little drag racing program. I went and chased snow and wandered around the country and got into working on snowcats and ended up managing a shop at a resort for a while and worked on hot rods and some four-wheel drive, rock crawler stuff. And then I finally decided I was tired of working 40 hours a week and wanted to try it out on my own.
As far as heavy equipment is concerned, what was your first job that really gave you experience in that field?
That would have been in the ski industry.
Okay.
So snowcats and loaders, excavators, kind of ski industry runs all kinds of equipment.
You learned through actually working in a job. Did you ever go to trade school or anything?
I got certified in stick welding when I was like 18 or so, but that's really the only formal schooling I got.
Wow, so you're self-taught.
I've just always done it, been around it, been interested, and learned from doing.
Cool. And did you ever have, working in any of your jobs, did you ever have a mentor that really showed you a lot of things?
Yeah. That first ski shop that I worked in, the manager at the time was an ex-machinist and had worked on equipment for a long time after his machining career. And he was a very good mentor. We're still in touch.
Cool.
He's since retired. He's playing with his toys and the shop that he bought and kind of hanging out.
Tell me about the service truck. Less than a year ago, you bought a truck?
This truck I sent you a picture of, I've been running for about a month and a half. A year ago, I started in a $500 Toyota. I decided I wasn't putting any money into this. I was going to, see how it went, right? I threw my welder and tools in this crappy truck and started telling people I was working for myself. And it's gone pretty well. I was able to build this truck out this summer. And
for someone that hasn't seen a photo of it, describe it. It's pretty cool. It's the coolest truck I've ever seen.
It's a 68 Chevy C30 dually with a pretty good size 9-foot bed utility box, obviously. I'm still fairly unorganized. I'm still working out of, 30 different tool bags and all my kits in their little boxes, but I'm working on it one piece at a time.
Where did the truck come from? Do you know its history?
It was a fleet service vehicle somewhere in like San Francisco Bay area. I picked it up out of a warehouse.
Cool. Right on.
It's got some remnants of other decals on it in places.
Yeah.
And the 800 number that was on it, I called it and it collected to one of those hotlines.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lady with a nice voice started talking to me.
It was a service truck, all right. That's awesome. Right on. So tell me the thought process, the moment when you decided you're going on your own.
People have always told me I should. And, you settle into being comfortable with a steady paycheck. And I did that for a lot of years and was very comfortable making decent money. And it was scary. But one day I just decided I was done working 40 hours a week and I needed a break, and I might as well see how it went, you know? And so far, so good.
So when you say 40 hours a week, does that mean you're working more or less?
I'm working less,
Okay.
and I'm actively trying to work less.
Okay.
The way I look at it, I'm collecting the full rate now, and if I can work a few days a week, I'm going to make the same amount of money, and I don't have to change my lifestyle too much, but stress levels are lower.
That's very interesting because a lot of people I talk to usually are working many hours a week at their job and they think they're just not making enough. So they go on their own, probably to
Right.
end up working the same or more hours.
Yeah.
But you did, that's interesting. You kind of doing it for lifestyle reasons, right? Not to be tied to anything. You pick and
Yeah.
choose the stuff you want.
Yep. Yeah. That's the idea. Feel comfortable saying no to jobs. That sometimes feels better than saying yes.
How do you determine what jobs to take on then?
Really, I do it based on what I'm interested in. And really right now, I mean, I haven't advertised at all. Like I'm just doing this through word of mouth and trying to only work with people that I know and like and get along with. And yeah, I pretty much take most of the calls I get. I rarely say no at this point. Now that I'm not as busy, I guess that's changed a little bit.
What is your biggest challenge right now that you're going through?
I think the bookkeeping and like I'm concerned about tax season because I've never done taxes this way with a LLC and all of that. I think that's my biggest learning curve. The work's the work. I'm used to that. I enjoy that. But yeah, the bookkeeping part is the most challenging for me.
Did you set up QuickBooks or something like that?
I'm using one of those. You know, they set up the business for you and do all your paperwork, and
Okay.
it's kind of a service that you pay for, and they've got a bookkeeping thing as part of that, and that's what I've been using.
If you had a magic wand and you could make things happen, what would be your ideal situation? Or you're living that now? Like, would you be working more? Would you be charging more money? Working with different clients? Or are you kind of just building up to that?
I think I'm building up to that. I'm trying to change my lifestyle a little bit right now and kind of just let this grow organically and let people local to me realize that I'm available. I've been getting steadily busier kind of each month. It's been good.
Would you ever consider hiring more people?
I don't know that I would necessarily want to expand like that. Like I would much prefer to encourage another person to do it on their own.
Cool. Okay.
That seems way more fair.
I mean, yeah, I guess it depends what people want because I think there's people like, do you know anyone that you've ever worked with that has went on their own as a mechanic?
Yeah, so somebody that I taught in the ski industry, he actually went out on his own, and he's the one that kind of lit the fire under my ass and made me do it. It was one of those like, Tony can do it. Like, why am I not giving it a go? And that's been a good relationship. We've done some jobs together. It's been fun.
Has he given you any advice or any lessons about specifically about what to expect when you're on your own?
No, no. We started maybe a couple months apart. Like he
Okay.
told me he did it, and
Yeah.
I was like, screw it, I'm doing it too.
And so is there an opportunity to go back to your previous employer and still work with them as a contractor, or they're not interested in that?
The last place I was working at was kind of a custom shop. They've got their own thing going on.
Cool. Maybe too early to tell, but from a tax perspective, was that one of the reasons why you also left working 40 hours a week? I know a lot of people say, that their take home pay is not as much
Yeah.
as, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny you say that. Because apparently, I don't know if it was them or me, but somehow my taxes wrote the wrong number on the form, and I ended up owing last year like a couple $1,000,
Oh,
which is
wow.
not something I'm usually prepared to do. And that put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
So far, if my bookkeeping is correct and accurate and everything, like, so far I stand to pay a lot less this year.
So it sounds like you've carved out a little, I mean, maybe not yet, but you're planning to carve out a niche. You probably live in a small area, people, a lot of word of mouth.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
As it stands now, do you find you're doing a lot of work for the same clients, or is it just random, bunch of random people?
Yeah, I've had quite a few repeat customers already. A couple that I expected, that I'd known from before, but a couple new people that were been recommend. I've been recommended to them and have done quite a few jobs. You tend to show up and then they're like, they see you do one thing and they're like, oh, well, I've got this other whatever it is.
Yeah.
It might be an ATV, it might be a truck, it might be another piece of equipment, whatever. They're like, what? You want to look at this too? And
Random stuff, like from heavy equipment to anything that needs to be
oh,
fixed.
I'll work on anything. I'm not that picky. Variety is the spice of life, right? I'll do small engines, generators. We all live kind of remote here and expect the power to be semi-unreliable. Everybody's got a generator. Everybody's got something to remove snow. Whether it's a walk behind snowblower or a skid steer or something bigger.
So how do you determine price then? How do you charge?
I charge $150 an hour. I don't charge for travel. I've really only doing jobs, within an hour of home. Around here, everything's an hour away, unless it's next door.
So you charge when you show up then?
Yeah, I charge for time I'm on site actually working. Like if we spend an hour talking, I'm not charging you for that.
You're the first person I've ever met who doesn't charge anything for travel. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
In this industry, for some reason, as opposed to say someone you pay $150 an hour to fix your computer or whatever else, IT work, other industries, they don't charge for travel. And for some reason,
right.
This everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. The way I look at it is like you're going to pay $150 if you ship your stuff to a shop, right? And a shop has their overhead, rent, whatever. My overhead is gas. Why should I be charging? Like, you don't get rent, part of the rent, a percentage of the shop's rent on your bill. Like, why would travel be on there? To a point, right?
You do whatever makes sense. To me, I would argue that the value of someone showing up to your place and spending their gas and their, like you might not have $150,000, $200,000 invested in your truck. So every mile you put on, there's a capital cost to that. So that's one area, but there's a huge value in someone just showing up, especially if the thing is, doesn't move. But, and I'm definitely not suggesting you change that. If that works for you, great. But I don't think you should undervalue your, but I mean, you know the people too, right? You're probably, it's a community thing.
And if I was taking a job with a big corporate entity or something like that, I might rethink that when I write that estimate, right? But whenever it's a neighbor,
that's cool.
Makes sense for now.
And so let's just say a year down the road, you've established your business better. More people are calling you, and especially word of mouth. It's like whatever it is you're working on, maybe the local company who has a few machines, they start liking your work. So how are you going to prioritize what clients to work on? And especially would you ever get to the point where you're working 60 hours a week, or is that's just a no-go for you?
I want it to be a no-go, but at the same time, it would be a good thing for that to happen for a few years.
Okay.
Financially, you know what I mean? I'm not getting any younger. I got to think about like real retirement at some point.
Yeah, even if you didn't try, that could happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of work out there. That's kind of what I mean about not wanting to hire people and would rather encourage somebody else to buy a cheap truck and go start taking work.
So what's your favorite type of work? What kind of equipment?
I love working on snowcats. They're the coolest machines out there.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned. They're simple too. They're like race cars. You get the covers off and the tracks off and everything's right there.
They're simple. That's interesting because they seem expensive.
They're maybe I oversimplify, but
What is there to it? There's final drives, right? Presumably.
Yeah.
Eh,
It's like any other machine.
Hydraulic.
It's got a diesel engine with a splitter box to some hydraulic pumps. You've got one for each drive and then one for your implements because you've got a tiller on the back that's, hydrostat drive, big pumps, big motors. And then there's, the auxiliary hydraulic pumps and stuff. But it's just like any other machine, really.
What's the closest machine that you would compare it with, like a construction machine, as far as the complexity of functionality?
I guess a dozer,
Okay.
but even then, like we've got a couple extra buttons from the operator's perspective. There's a little bit more going on. You're running a dozer and you're also running a finishing machine behind you at the same time.
Okay.
I've heard people compare it to flying a helicopter, but that's hearsay.
What's the most common stuff that goes wrong on those things?
Depends on the operators. Like trail machines, they kind of tend to beat up their tillers. Park machines can be rough on everything. I've seen broken frames, just like anything else. People abuse them, they break.
So what happens if you can't figure something out? You got some people to call?
Yeah, as far as snowcats go, it's such a small industry. The manufacturers are pretty receptive to fixing your own machine and subcontractors fixing their machines. They've only got so many service guys. They can't answer every call. But yeah, those guys are a wealth of information.
How many people live in your area, would you say, within like half an hour?
I'm not the one to ask a question like that. You're going to have to Google that.
500, 1,000, 10,000?
Yeah, a couple thousand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how many people do you think are in the same business as you in that region that you know of? Or...
Quite a few.
Okay.
Quite a few, because we have a lot of, there's a lot of forestry equipment. There's a whole nother group of people that are in that scene, if you will. And there's the summit, the snow scene. There's a lot of us.
You guys get along like you know some of them?
Yeah, I know a couple other guys I've met a couple other guys that run trucks on their own, and they've been receptive to swapping cards and sharing numbers and all that. Kind of don't look at it as competition, as help, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody wants to work 80 hours a week. Like you were saying, how do you prioritize and when do you say no? It's sometimes hard to. I see how that you get into that.
Yeah, no, it's super helpful. Like when we go into a region, we always make sure that people like you are kind of friendly with other guys that do the same thing before we actually start targeting an area and marketing it. Because one thing you don't want to do is say, yeah, I'm here, here's my card, or we can do this work, and then they call you and it takes 2 weeks for you to do an oil change for them, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I keep a couple projects here at home, right? Kind of long-term things to work on, whether it be somebody's hot rod or whatever. So it lets me kind of stay open to running whenever somebody calls,
Do you see people getting into this? You see young people wanting to get into this business, or do you think that's probably a struggle for the industry?
There's a couple kids that are into it, I think it's coming back.
You think so?
I think I'm almost 40. I think my generation, we all were supposed to go to college and be doctors. I think these next few have kind of saw that, hey, this isn't for everybody. I think they're doing what they feel like they should do versus doing what they're told.
What do you think caused that mindset to shift?
I think they just saw all these people with college degrees unemployed or underemployed.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm 43 and so born in 81. Yeah. And when I was a kid, probably, I don't know, I guess in early 90s, I started building computers.
Yeah.
And that was when, Microsoft 3.11 was coming out because I learned on DOS. And then 3.11 and then, Windows 95 and whatever. But the point is that as computers became more popular, every parent invested back in the day, I think it was like $15,000 to $30,000 for Microsoft certification.
Yeah.
So 5 years, 10 years down the road, all of these people, that maybe would have went into the trades or maybe would have went into something else, Their
Hmm.
parents all said, you got to be, computers are the newest thing. And you've got all these people now that are Microsoft certified,
Yeah.
and then they're only making $15 an hour, whereas they should have been making $30 an hour, but there was an oversupply of these people. And obviously when
Right.
everyone's, quote, educated or certified or whatever, doesn't mean they're good, right?
Yeah. True.
And so that saturated the market for that. And then it's amazing how a whole generation they
Like
oversaturated.
overcompensated.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because it was a thing to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, every parent wants the best for their kids, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now I definitely see a shift too. Like one of the reasons we started the channel is because we couldn't hire anyone for our service division. It was really difficult.
Really?
Yeah, oh, totally
Yeah.
difficult. And we said, well, we own this equipment. We're in the rental game. We need to get it
Yeah.
repaired. We had our favorite contractors, guys like Keith. He was one of our first
Hmm.
mechanics to work on our equipment. It only made sense for us to hire our own guy, but we wanted to start a service division. And then we said, why don't we film everything we do? Or not everything, but a lot of what we do,
Yeah.
and start showing the world, like, people are interested in learning. But the goal was to inspire the next generation, which takes a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long game, right? So
Right.
that's not a short-term profit play for sure. And the cool thing is it's happening now. We get people emailing us, thanking us for the content. They didn't know they'd ever like this. They love it. They found a passion. They never, ever in a million years expected to be a heavy equipment mechanic. That's cool. And so if we can help change that and, do our part, we love what we're doing. So yeah, hopefully that changes. As far as from a tool perspective, if you're going to advise a young person who's looking to become an apprentice, maybe who knows, they've got a little bit of experience, on cars and trucks and whatever. And if you were to say, look, man, I got a really tight budget, what are the 3 most important tools I should start with? If, for example, they're specifically like a snow cat mechanic or a heavy equipment mechanic.
Line wrenches.
Line wrenches.
Yep. And angle wrenches.
Why is that?
Just being able to get in those tight spots and not have to disassemble a whole valve block to change the hose that you're after. If you're going to do anything with hydraulics, have some angle wrenches. As
What?
many wrenches as you can have that are different.
Okay. Yeah. And what other
Crow's
stuff?
feet,
Yeah.
all those things.
Okay. Anything else?
The basics. Just have to have your basics, and you'll figure it out as you go.
Guess it depends what you get thrown into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to just like start buying tools without knowing what you're working on.
How often
There's
do you buy
hundreds
tools?
of thousands of dollars of tools. Anymore, not very frequently. I bought a lot of tools in my 20s, and I'm a used tool guy. I love a deal.
Yeah.
I'm always going to the pawn shops and the Facebook Marketplace and yard sales. I've got tools that are older than me. And that would be my biggest advice: is
Don't
don't
overspend.
spend a fortune on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of guys go into debt for stuff. It's one thing
Yeah.
if you're doing
There's
it
no
because
need.
you need it, but if you're just getting into it, you don't really know. Man, going into debt,
Yeah.
for something you're not even sure you're going to do, that's
Yeah.
risky, I think.
But yeah, like buy somebody's setup that's retiring, get a good deal on some used stuff and go from there.
Have you ever customized a tool? Built your own?
Isn't that like half of being a heavy equipment mechanic?
Guess so.
I've got a whole drawer full of cut, welded, bent wrenches. Oh yeah. Custom puller setups. Yeah. The slide hammer.
Any tool that you made that you thought you could sell, you could patent it and produce it and sell it?
No, I can't think of anything like that. No. Just like you make $150 specialty tools all the time, like special size pullers and adapters, those things are what I end up fabricating.
What caused you to be so chill? Did you see someone overwork in your life and you're like, I don't want to do that? How did you come to this mindset?
I've always been stubborn as hell. Yeah. I don't know. I've always been this way. I remember working for people and knowing that they knew better than to ask me to stay late.
Okay. But do you ever look at people and think, man, like they're they're missing out so much? Because it seems like you live in a beautiful place. You probably ski or snowboard, maybe mountain bike, I'd assume. Do you enjoy
Yep.
that? You just enjoy the outdoors and you want to be spending time. I don't know. I don't want to be putting
Yeah.
words in your mouth.
No, you're nailing it. That's the idea.
Have you seen people that have worked so much and maybe have had something really bad happen to them and you're like, man, they had it going for them, but they missed out?
I see people burn out all the time. It shows itself in, so many different ways depending on the person, right? I've seen people totally shut down and disappear from the world for a year or so because they worked themselves too hard. And I've seen people just double down and just keep doing it and moving jobs all the time and not understanding why they never find the right place because they're always mad because they're always overworked. Yeah, it's tough to see that. And that was one of the final straws at the last shop too, was the atmosphere. And like, you were never told like, oh, great job on that one. It was always just like, okay, can you do the next one? You can only do that so long before it wears on you.
So do you think there's a balance between enjoying what you do and completely hating it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was hating it whenever I quit that last job. And the last couple months, every job I go on, I love it. I enjoy doing the work to a point. Don't make you work more than 40 hours a week.
So what's the best part of what you do, doing what you do?
I like helping people, honestly, some of the like emergency, like I put my card out at the gas station and stuff, and people will call, they need their like spare tire put on. And they're just so appreciative to have somebody that can come and help them. And it's not like, we're kind of remote. Like if you call a tow truck, you're going to wait for hours and then they're going to tow you to the major city and totally ruins your whole 2 days probably.
Yeah, that's it seems as though I talk to people who probably work 80 hours a week, but they claim to love it, and I don't have any reason to
I don't buy it.
No, you don't think so?
No, I don't buy it.
It's interesting. I know there's people that work 80 hours a week and absolutely hate
Yeah.
what they do. They're doing it because they have an end goal in mind, which is retirement or whatever, right? Going on that
That's fine.
3-week vacation. I don't know. Is that fine? Or if someone works 80 hours a week and actually loves it and actually seems to be sincerely happy person, but obviously, there's a potential balance problem there, right?
Yeah.
But if they love
I think so.
So you don't think it's possible to like work maybe even more than that, 60 to 80 hours a week, and it's not possible to love it?
I don't think so.
No?
Not for me.
No, of course not for
in
you.
my personal experience.
Okay. In the people you've seen, right?
And the people I've seen, like even the people that say that they're loving it.
Okay.
That when you're close to those people, you have a hard time seeing it.
Wow, that's interesting. And so then if people worked less, do you think there's some people that work so much, even if they had time off, they wouldn't know what to do? They'd probably want to go back to work?
Yeah, potentially. I definitely think that's plausible.
Because they don't know what to do if they're not at work. That's everything to them, yeah. I think the key is there's people who can work long hours and love it. And man, of course you deal with shitty stuff no matter if you work 30 hours a week or 80 hours a week, you're going to deal with stuff you don't like. That's just a fact of life, right?
Yeah.
I definitely think there are people that exist that work double what normal people do and actually enjoy it. I think the key is to enjoy the process because we don't, like I tell my kids, like just because you're 14 years old doesn't mean you're going to live till you're 90. So you don't know.
Yeah.
You get cancer, get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment. And it's cliche, but I honestly try to live my life that way. If you work 40 hours a week and you hate what you do, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you work 60 hours or 80 hours a week and you love what you do, I'm not talking about the people who fake it.
Not a problem then.
Yeah. Right? Like, but I think the key is, find something you like because man, we all know people, no matter how much they work, they hate it. That sucks. I think it changes your body chemistry too. You get sick more, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, seeing the picture that you sent of your truck, the in the forest, it's absolutely beautiful. Being in BC, we have terrain like that. maybe not exactly, but there's certain parts that are, yeah, I love being in the middle of nowhere. That must have a major impact on quality of life, just being, breathing that air, right?
I won't disagree with that.
That's pretty awesome. So any advice to younger people who are maybe looking to get into this?
Yeah, go get a job. Go into every shop that's doing something you're interested in and offer to sweep their floors. Start working. You'll find your spot.
Cool. Like with you, you started doing stuff that was not necessarily related, but obviously anything mechanical builds upon anything else, right? So there's no,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no right answer. Like,
Yeah.
even if you think you want to work on heavy equipment, but there's a bicycle shop down the street and you've never turned a wrench, go talk to a bike shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see the bike industry like up at the ski hill that has the groomer? They do bikes there too? Like, is there bike park there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Lake Tahoe area is a huge ski destination. Like, I'd wager to say there's more ski resorts concentrated here than kind of anywhere else in the country.
Wow.
All of that. Mountain biking, rock climbing, all of that is huge here.
Wow, that's cool.
We don't have Whistler, but
yeah, but a bunch of Whistlers.
Still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to Whistler?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Skiing, snowboarding, biking?
Mountain biking. Yeah.
Okay.
A couple times for downhill mountain biking trips.
So our equipment from Rent One used to build the bike parks at Whistler for about
That's awesome.
10 years. Probably about 2012, the industry was, it was still really
that's about when I would have been there.
Yeah, Crankworks, all that stuff.
I was there for Crankworks one year, not to participate, but to spectate.
I remember going to Crankworks, actually not even seeing the event, but the setup. It was like the day of or day before.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe how big an event it was.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's
absolutely
crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
What's the big jump line? Apple something?
I'm not sure.
There's just this major jump line tabletops, and I hit the first little setup jump, basically their roller, and was terrified.
Yeah,
that's as far as I made it. That place is insane.
So when I was a kid, I bet you I would say probably 1997, I took a regular bike down the hill that went up on a chairlift there in Whistler. It was nothing what it is today. And then we had worked with the mountain probably for 5 years before they invited me up and, come and try it. Obviously everyone has bikes, but I've mountain biked when I was a kid, like when I was 17 at Whistler, but didn't know it, probably didn't even have a helmet. And then they take me down, they get me all geared up. And then the guy who runs the park, one of them, he went with me that day, and the do's and the don'ts, right? He's like, these brakes are so sensitive, they will flip you over if you, squeeze them too hard, right? I remember I'm like, I get it now. It's incredible. It's super fun. It's amazing. Like you see all the people, it's like, oh, I guess that looks cool. Like I ride a motorbike. Okay. I've skied and snowboarded, whatever, but it's pretty fun, man. It's pretty incredible. Up there, where you are, what do you think is more popular? The combination of skiing and snowboarding or mountain biking?
It's the same people.
Okay, you think?
Just different time of year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the stats. I should know. I know that for the last 15 years, mountain biking, downhill biking was something that was up and coming, because I know even ski hills now are building out, they could have done it 20 years ago, but they're building it out because they see the opportunity for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these days I think it's the same people. I think if you ski and snowboard, you probably ride a mountain bike too.
Yeah. Interesting chat. If you ever need tools, or I know where you buy your tools, but any kind of parts, if we can ever help you find stuff that may be difficult to find, whether it be tracks or anything, I'm sure you've seen Josh on one of the videos.
Yeah.
Josh is a great partsman. He's got probably 17 years experience. If there's anything obscure, we have suppliers from all over the world. If you ever need help finding something.
Yeah, no, it's good to know that you guys exist, sometimes the OE cat or whatever part is just absurdly priced.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to give people options.
The other thing, and you can let your guys, your buddies, in the area that do the same thing, let them know too. One of the things that we're going to be offering, and we are in talks right now with specific original equipment manufacturers who don't have a good presence in your region or even maybe in the country, and
Hmm.
they sell equipment, usually expensive equipment, probably not less than $100,000, probably up to $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah.
And their equipment is probably, among the best in the world, but it's probably obviously niche as well. And so there's probably in the US, there's probably a couple competitors that just have that market as big as it is. They've got it cornered because they have support. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to be doing is making deals with specific OEMs to offer them, because we have lots of mechanics all in every single state. And
Yeah.
obviously some mechanics aren't qualified or not experienced or not tooled up properly, but
Right.
we'll be able to offer that so that they can go and help, sell their equipment wherever it is. Say like we'll promise you a 48-hour response time or 24-hour response time anywhere in the country. And then that
Yeah.
might mean that we select specific guys in the
Right.
region that they want to sell to. Maybe
Yeah.
they're, 1 week course, maybe you got to go to, Sweden or whatever it is to learn about their specific equipment, but that's one thing that we're going to be offering.
Yeah.
We had this planned probably 8 years ago. It's
Yeah.
taken us this long to get, we're at the point now where we can actually provide value. If not you, someone else. The thing is that could mean that if you're the, let's call it certified or the approved service person in the area or technician in the area,
Right.
it means that you might get like 3 days of work or a week of work or have to drive for 5 hours, but you get paid. So whatever it
Yeah.
is, it might not be you, but maybe guys that you know. And so especially being in your area, there's probably some specific equipment that, aren't made there, right? So,
Oh, absolutely. A lot of snow removal equipment and a lot of the forestry equipment
yeah.
I see is not from here, smaller, kind of more industry specific companies.
Yeah, do you know of any manufacturers that aren't from the US and that maybe are, less known?
LaRue is out of French Canada.
Okay.
They're pretty big in snow removal equipment. They've been selling quite a few pieces of equipment around here lately. And I don't know what their service program is. I know the one machine that I had at the ski hill of theirs, it was kind of difficult dealing with them direct across the border. They had a local dealer that was also kind of seemed overwhelmed.
Okay.
They might be good to touch base with. And it's the forestry machines I've been seeing. Sennebagen,
Okay. Yeah.
does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I see those a lot. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's the plan for us. If there's any opportunities in your area, definitely do you want me to at least advise you about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And then do you know
Like I said, I've been letting this go slowly, but I did fill out your form. I am trying to work. It might sound like I don't want to work, but I want to work.
No, that's cool. No, that's good. Work-life balance is a key thing. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
obviously they got do you have a family? Are you married? Do you have kids?
No,
So it's just you.
I'm single.
Yeah. That makes a
Me
big
and a
difference
dog.
too, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a strategic life choice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all good. And then if you know of any other guys that are like you in your area, wouldn't mind chatting with them too to see, like I said, if your service area may be, strategic, from the point of going to these OEMs and offering a certain level of service in that region, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it might be
Right.
of value to everyone.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it would be.
Any other questions for me?
Is there any aftermarket support for snowblowing implements?
For
Like,
skid steers?
I'm really thinking about skid steers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there seems to be about 100,000 different skid steer blowers,
Yeah.
and sometimes they're a pain in the to deal with the company.
Do any of them work? Because there's so many of them. Does one brand stand out to you that seems to work better than others, or just they're all kind of the same?
They all have their quirks. It seems.
Yeah.
They get so abused.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's like kind of like nothing else. Like you're running this giant fan into a blind pile of snow.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's in it at any time. The amount of that gets run through those things that shouldn't be run through them is 90% of the problems with them. You know, I can't think of any that are just poorly designed or fail all the time. It's generally just the abuse of the job.
I wonder if there could be a design. I mean, obviously, snow is a fact of life for half the country.
Yeah.
I wonder if you always wonder, like, could it be prevented? You know, design improvements to make it, you know, a better mousetrap, right?
Yeah. I don't know. We've been doing it for a while now.
Exactly. It's as good as it gets.
I don't know how to reinvent that wheel.
Something we always think about, how could we improve this? But if it's a matter of like replacement parts, wear parts, stuff like that, you know, we do, and we own, you know, implements, attachments for skid steers, like grapple buckets, you know, brush cutters.
What brand? Is there a brand name behind what you sell?
I'm not going to say it because I'm not entirely confident, maybe because it's my experience with them, but there's so many of them. And actually, there's a few companies.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you just distributed a few or if you had like an in-house brand or.
No, we get calls from them all the time, and they're always like, ours are better than, not about snowblowers, but you know, they probably make everything, right?
In general.
Yeah. And they're always like, ours are better because why? Oh, build quality, service, all that.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. Are they just all the same? Maybe there's better build quality with some. I don't know enough about them to give you, you know, an honest, you know, review. I know that we have a lot of attachments, and there's certain fail points like brush cutters or something that fails a lot. Usually it's honestly, if they're used properly, most of them will work. Like you said, it's just usually sucking up rocks or whatever else in that snow pile. If you cut brush with a brush cutter and you don't whack rocks or jam the thing in, and they're pretty good. They're pretty solid. The stuff we sell, we're not beholden to a brand. We can sell anything.
Yeah.
And same with the equipment that we own. We own all different brands of equipment from Kubota, Komatsu, Cat, Deere, Yanmar. And we always try to pick the best machine in the category for what we're looking to do. I don't think there's one brand of machines that has got every category proper, right? Like,
I agree with that.
So I think it's the same with attachments. You'll probably find some companies who are better at brush cutters, others who are better at, you know, grapple, you know, designs or whatever. But if you ever need something specific, let me know and we'll look into it. We have dealer accounts with all these guys. So if we can save you some money too, let us know. Cool, man. Thanks, Jake.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions for Jake or suggestions for future episodes, leave a comment or email us at media@tekamohd.com. We'd love to hear from you. Jake, thanks again for sharing your expertise.